All right, hey everyone. We are back today with the half angle formulas. So that's your aim. How do we utilize the half angle formulas? You do now is another problem with Cauchy. Okay. And then your homework is going to be number 19 in the OpenStax textbook, page 594, numbers 13 to 21 odd. Ignore this one. This one was from the old textbook. Okay, so just these. Okay. All right. With that said, let me get to the do now. All right, so Cauchy thinks that tan 90 degrees over 2 equals tan 45 degrees, right? So they're just simplifying this part, right? But he thinks that this is equal to that, sine 90 over 1 plus cosine 90. And we're going to determine if he's right by evaluating both sides of the equation. And then part B, what formula can we come up with based on our answer to part A? That is, what is tan of u over 2 equal to? Okay. If you need time to copy this down, please pause the video here. Otherwise, I'll get back to the solution. All right. So here we have tan 45 degrees equals sine 90 degrees over 1 plus cosine 90. And we know that tan 45 is 1, right? That's always true. Sine 90 degrees is equal to 1, and then cosine 90 is 0. So on the right-hand side of the equation, we're going to end up with 1 over 1 plus 0. So this will end up being 1 equals 1. All right, for part B, oh, by the way, so that means that he was right in this case. Okay, so 1 equals 1, the equation is true, so he was correct in saying that this is equal to that. Okay, but anyway, part B, the formula that we can come up with is tan of u over 2 is equal to sine u over 1 plus cosine u, right? So this, if we see u here as 90 degrees, then we have sine of u over 1 plus cosine u, and then on the other side, which is 45 degrees, that's tan of u over 2, right? Half of 90 degrees. Okay, so that's our formula. If you need to copy this solution, please pause the video here. Otherwise, I'll get to the rest of the lesson. All right. So here we have the half angle formulas, and we're not going to prove these. They actually require a type of formula that we're not going to see. It's in the OpenStax textbook, but yeah, it's beyond the scope of this course. So we'll just have them here for reference. Okay. So here they are, half angle formulas. So the tangent one is the one we saw in the do now. So tan of u over 2 equals, well, this is the form that we saw. And then here's the other form, which we'll derive in the first example for today. And then sine of u over 2 equals plus or minus. So it'll depend on which quadrant u over 2 lies in, right? Okay. But that equals plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine u over 2. And then cosine is the same besides the plus sign in the middle. Okay, so for sine it's subtraction, cosine it's addition here in the middle. Okay. But yeah, as I said, the choice of the plus or minus sign you're going to choose based on which quadrant the angle u over 2 lies. Okay. All right. Makes sense? All right. Well, if you need time to copy this, please pause the video here. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next few questions. Okay. All right. All right, here we are. So we're going to derive the second half angle formula for tangent from the first. Okay, so we're going to start with this, 1 minus cosine u over sine u. And we're going to multiply by the conjugate, which is 1 plus cosine u. So we're going to multiply by the conjugate of the numerator. And the reason for that is we're going to get a difference of squares, and then we can simplify that quite nicely. Okay, so we're going to multiply by 1 plus cosine u over itself. And this will get in the numerator, right? Because 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times cosine u is plus cosine u, and then 1 times negative cosine u is negative cosine u. So that sums to 0. And then negative cosine u times positive cosine u is negative cosine squared u. Okay, so that's what we get in the numerator. The denominator we just leave as the product of this and this, right? And then this we can simplify using the Pythagorean identity, right? So here I wrote that here. Here we use the Pythagorean identity, sine squared u plus cosine squared u is 1. Okay. And then subtracting cosine squared u from both sides, we get sine squared u equals 1 minus cosine squared u. Okay, so I'm going to replace this with sine squared u, right, using that identity. The denominator stays the same in that step. And then from here, we divide out sine u. Okay, so sine squared u divided by sine u is just sine u in the numerator. And then denominator, we are left with 1 plus cosine u. Okay, That's how we get our other half angle formula for tangent. All right, from here, let me get to part B. Find the exact value of sine of 22.5 degrees, okay? So we'll have, right, this is the half angle formula for sine, plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine u over 2. And then the hardest part about this question is just seeing how this breaks down, right? So 22.5 degrees, that's the same thing as 45 degrees divided by 2. Okay, so that's 45 divided by 2. And yeah, these are equal, right? So 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. And then just apply the formula, right? So we're going to choose the positive option because 22.5 degrees, that's in quadrant 1, right? So I wrote that here. Sine is positive in quadrant 1. Positive in quadrant 1, right? The angle is 22.5. So u, in this case, is 45, right? So it will be square root of 1 minus cosine of 45, right? And then divide by that by 2. And then from here, just simplify. So cosine 45 is root 2 over 2. And then moving on to the next step, simplifying, we get 2 over 2 minus root 2 over 2, right? Because we had a 1 here, so we have to, let me get rid of that. Yeah, we had 1 here, so that's 2 over 2 minus root 2 over 2. And then just simplify. So we get 2 minus root 2 over 2. That's the numerator, right, here. And then divide by 2, which means we multiply by 1/2, okay? So in the end, we get square root of 2 minus root 2 over 4. And then simplifying further, we get square root of 2 minus root 2 over 2, right? Because square root of 4 is 2. So we simplify the denominator to just be 2. And you can also write this as 1/2 times root 2 minus root 2. Okay. So I know this is looks unfamiliar, right? It looks intimidating, maybe because of the radical here, but yeah, just that's how it is. So it's just something to get used to, right? Nothing too bad, right? But that'll be our final answer. Okay. All right. If you need any of these solutions, pause the video here. So here's the proof, or the derivation rather, and then we have this, right? So find the exact value of 22.5, or sine of 22.5. Those will be these steps, and then other steps are here. Okay. All right. But yeah. With that said, let me get to the rest of the lesson, which I believe is just the worksheet. All right. Yeah, you can ignore that. Just my personal note for myself. But question number 1 on the worksheet is find tan of u over 2 if sine u equals 2 over 5 and u is in quadrant 2. Okay. So I'm going to jump down here. So tan u over 2, right? So the half angle formula for tangent always involves both sine and cosine, right? So we need to solve for cosine. We already have sine, so we're going to use that to find cosine. And we're going to do that by using the Pythagorean identity, right? Sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, right? That's always true. And then simplifying, we get cosine squared u equals 1 minus sine squared u. And then taking the square root of both sides, we get cosine u equals, so this will normally be plus or minus, but here we're going to choose the negative option because, again, u is in quadrant 2, and cosine is negative in quadrant 2. Okay, so that'd be negative square root of 1 minus sine squared u. And then here, we just plug in, right? So sine u is 2 over 5. We get negative square root of 1 minus 4 over 25, right? 2/5 squared is 4 over 25. And then simplifying, we get 21 over 25, right? So this 1 can be seen as 25 over 25, right? So that's what we get here. And then simplifying further, we can, split this up into negative root 21 over root 25, right? Root 25 is just 5. So that's what we get for cosine, right? Just right here. All right, and then from there, we just plug it into the formula. So we get 1 minus cosine u. You can use the other formula technically, but I chose this one in this case. But here I had 1 plus root 21 over 5, right? Because this is a negative, right? So 1 minus a negative is positive. And then that'll be divided by 2 over 5, which is sine u here. Okay. But yeah, in the numerator, you're going to get 5 over 5 for 1, right? So that'll be 5 plus root 21 over 5. That's the numerator here, right? That's this numerator. And then multiply by the reciprocal of 2 over 5, which is 5 over 2. Okay, so 5 divides out. You're going to have 5 plus root 21 over 2. And that'll be your final answer. Okay. If you need this solution, please pause the video here. Otherwise, we'll go on to question 2. Okay. All right, next we have cosine 22.5 degrees. So this can be seen as cosine of 45 divided by 2. Well, yeah, technically there should be a degree sign there. But yeah, you guys know what I mean. We get plus square root of 1 plus cosine u over 2. So we choose the positive option because, right, we're in quadrant 1. And cosine and every other trig function is positive there in quadrant 1. So this can be seen as 1 plus cosine 45, right? Because u is 45 degrees in this case, divided by 2. Cosine 45 is root 2 over 2. And then you just simplify. So we get 1 is 2 over 2. So this is 2 over 2 plus root 2 over 2. So this would be 2 plus root 2 over 2. Divide that by 2, which is 4. Okay. Yeah, so we get this after simplifying this. And then from there, we simplify further. We can simplify the denominator, right? Because root 4 is 2, right? So this will just come out to 1/2 times root 2 plus root 2. Okay. All right, that's your final answer for 2. For question 3, we have find the exact value of sine of 11 to the power over 12. So this will come out, yeah, we're going to use the half angle formula again, obviously. And this can be seen as like 11 to the power over 12 is 11 to the power over 6 divided by 2, right? And this is going to be the positive option because 11 to the power over 12, right? That's equal to 165 degrees. So that's quadrant 2, and sine is positive there. Okay, so we're going to choose the positive option, right? And then, yeah, using the half angle formula, we get 1 minus cosine 11 to the power over 6 over 2. So 11 to the power over 6, so power over 6 is 30 degrees, and 11 to the power over 6 is 330, right? So 330 degrees, that's in quadrant 4. It's right here, okay? Okay, that's right here. And the reference angle here is 30 degrees, right? And so cosine 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. And we know that cosine is positive here. So it's 1 minus positive root 3 over 2. Right? And you can see that as just this, 1 minus root 3 over 2. The denominator stays the same. Okay, and then 1 equals 2 over 2. So this is 2 over 2 minus root 3 over 2, which is what you get here if you simplify. Right, 2 minus root 3 over all over 2. And then multiply that by the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2. So we get this. And then simplify the denominator, you get just 2. Okay, so your final answer is going to be 1/2 times the square root of 2 minus root 3. Okay, all right, if you need any of these solutions, question 2 or 3, please pause the video here. Otherwise, I'll be getting to our last question. All right, question 4. So this question is the half angle formulas in reverse. So here they're already evaluated, and we just have to backtrack. Okay, so part A, we have square root of 1 minus cosine 30 degrees divided by 2. Part B, we have 1 minus cosine 8 theta over 2, square root of that, right? So this is the Greek letter theta, right, which we normally use for an angle. Yeah, just FYI. All right, so here, because it's a difference, we should recognize this as a half angle formula for sine, right? So sine of u over 2 equals plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine u over 2. Okay, so these are both evaluations of the half angle formula for sine. Okay. But yeah, as we see from here, right, square root of 1 minus cosine 30 degrees over 2, right? The value of u here is going to be 30 degrees, right? So just plug in u here. So we see that's 30. So sine of 30 degrees divided by 2 is sine of 15 degrees. Okay. So our first answer is sine of 15 degrees. Okay. All right. Part B is pretty much the same. So you take that, and this is equal to sine. This is the half angle formula for sine, right? So sine of this is equal to sine of u. U in this case is 8 theta. Okay, so 8 theta divided by 2, and this is equal to sine of 4 theta. Okay. All right, if you need to copy this solution, please pause video here. Otherwise, I'll be ending the video because that is all for today. Okay. All right, but yeah, just remember to submit your homework per usual, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.